Hey there, everybody. We're at the IBMA offices with a good friend of ours who just happened to drop by, Barry Waldrep.
How are you, Pat?
I'm good. So Barry had come by to give us a check for the IBMA's trust fund and his new album honoring Tony Rice. Part of the proceeds go to the trust fund and those in need. So thank you very much for doing that.
Absolutely.
And while you have a few minutes, I thought we would talk a little bit about your Bluegrass influences, and you've had a long and illustrious career, and some of the things that inspired you to do this Tony album.
Sure, absolutely. Of course, I grew up from an early age playing in my dad's bluegrass band, which we mainly played a lot of Bill Monroe stuff, Stanley Brothers, and that kind of thing. But I was influenced by two different people to kind of let me know I could go beyond the boundaries of bluegrass and still have the roots of bluegrass involved. And one of those was Charlie Daniels, who was playing fiddle in more of a rock setting, and the other was Tony Rice.
Yeah.
And of course, I was heavily influenced by Doc Watson, Norman Blake. But when I heard Tony, which I found an album at a bluegrass festival when I was a teenager, and I had no idea who Tony was at the moment. And I saw he had a pre-war Martin guitar on the cover,
Right.
which interests me. And then some of the songs, on the back kind of told me immediately that he was outside the box of traditional bluegrass. And so I bought the album, and that's where I started listening to Tony. But it just, more than the music, it let me know that you can keep the roots of bluegrass and do other things to make it your own, and it absolutely can help in a lot of other styles of music as well. You never get, if you grow up with bluegrass, it never gets away from you. And so I was real happy to do this project and to honor Tony because he was such an influence to me.
You've got such a great lineup of folks you collaborated with.
I was really, it was a blast to do. And all these people on this album, really were influenced by Tony or knew of his work and was a great fan of his music. And, I had a long conversation with Tony one night, and just listening to what he had to say, I really feel like he would approve of everything because everything we did was different from the way that Tony did it. All these songs that we did were songs that Tony did, but everybody did their own version. And in producing this, that's exactly what I wanted. I feel like he would be happy about that.
Can you demonstrate for us a little bit some of your early bluegrass playing, and then maybe how Tony changed the way you approached it?
Sure. So before Tony, it was and then getting into licks like that's as good as Tony did.
Still fantastic.
But just change my direction and using those. So this lick. So in playing more of an Allman Brothers type thing, back a step up in A. This phrase just a little different, but that's a Tony Rice lick that I used later in my career and doing other things. So it's just, it has always been with me,
Yeah. So some of the favorite parts of recording the album, what would you say they were?
A lot of favorites. Radney Foster sticks out because when we approached Radney, he was just, and I had never met Radney. I had followed music, but I told Brian, my manager, that I just felt like Radney was influenced by Tony Rice.
Mm-hmm.
And when we called him, he says, "Oh my gosh," he said, "I sold all my electric guitars and went acoustic because of Tony Rice, and was just over the top excited about doing this." So other than the music, just having him be so excited about doing it was a highlight.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned early on, you mentioned Charlie Daniels. You played a lot with Zach Brown.
Right,
I mean, they both had bluegrass influences, wouldn't you say?
right,
And-
right. When I was on tour with Zach, we would come out in the middle of the show with just two guitars and do an acoustic flat picking song, you know, and that was just something you normally would not see in a country music show, you know, and it just, it's on the Pass the Jar DVD.
Yep.
And so you got Kid Rock, Little Big Town, and Joey and Rory, and a lot of other people on there, but then we come out and do a flat picking bluegrass type thing, and it just, you know, it turns people on to that music that has never known to even listen to it.
How about any advice for young guitar players who want to sound more like Tony? Are there ways to approach it, ways that you approached it?
Well, I would just advise, you know, we're all influenced by different people, but if you do your own thing, find your voice, and someone, when you're playing guitar, someone knows it's you. I mean, you know, Sam Bush, when I hear Sam Bush playing mandolin, I know it's Sam. If I hear David Grisman playing, I know that it's them. And you have that signature thing that's yours, and that's what I would say to younger players, because and in talking to Tony, I mean, it's just like he really didn't voice that he wanted to hear people playing note for note what he did. He wanted to be, you know, surprised by what someone else was doing.
Well, Barry, I'm glad you could drop by and say hello to us, and thank you for supporting the Trust Fund. And
Absolutely.
finishing up, are there any sort of Tony-inspired licks from the album you'd like to play for us?
Well,
Thank you so much for coming by.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for supporting the album. Absolutely.